It's going to get a little tricky. For the first 15 minutes, no video, please. For the second 15 minutes, we're going to be able to do video. But I'll walk you through. Coach Shire and I, we got this, and we're going to walk you through it. All right? Coach, how you doing today?
I'm good. I'm ready for questions.
We're going to take some questions. Looks like Dan has one. Let's get him a microphone over there on the right side. Then we'll come up to the front.
Dan Wolken, USA Today. John, the transition year that you had, what was important to you about that year just in getting you ready to take over the head coaching job? And, maybe did people mischaracterize what was going on there, thinking it was, a farewell tour for Coach K? Just kind of take us through how that was all planned out.
Yeah, 100%. I think, hey, Flags, can you keep it down in the corner? Kelly? No, I'm not going to mess with her, Matt.
A little bit of room noise is nice for the broadcast, Coach. It's okay.
I think that year was definitely mischaracterized. Coach K's biggest intention of just having he wanted the program to be able to sustain great success. And in order to do that, especially at that time, I think it's a little bit different now, but especially at that time, you had to have a chance to recruit a team. And so that freshman class for us, to be able to bring in those guys, Derek, Mark, Flip, Tyrese, we wouldn't have Tyrese Proctor if it wasn't for that. And not only would you not have Tyrese, you wouldn't have Tyrese after going through 3 seasons together. And so I thought that was really important. The other thing that was just as important, it made it more real for me. And so some of the best conversations I've ever had with Coach is throughout that season, just talking about why he makes certain decisions, what's going on in his mind, real time in game. You're thinking about, all right, he called the timeout. Would I have called the timeout at the same time? Or why is he calling a timeout? Being here at the Final Four, going through the tournament, it just made it more real. And so I think that was a great trial run for me to imagine what plays you would call in certain situations, things you would do. And then, like I said, the conversations we had behind closed doors, I think were some of the most impactful I've ever had with him.
Up front and to the left.
Hey, John, Jeff Eisenberg with Yahoo Sports. Can you take me back to after your eye injury, after you're kind of trying to make a comeback there? How frustrating was it not to be the same player that you were before? And when did you kind of realize, okay, it's time to stop and time to consider coaching?
I was determined to make it to the NBA still, and I felt I was the same player. But I think part of what made me the player that I was is I had a special belief and a special edge. And the eye injury, I could never regain that same confidence to that level. And I'm proud of all the attempts I made playing for the Los Angeles Clippers 2 months after it happened, training camp, going to the G League with the Houston Rockets, played a year in Israel. And then when I was playing in Spain, my dream was always to coach it someday. I thought it would be more, starting at 35 after a 10-plus NBA career. Just so happened it was at 25. As I was going through that season in Spain, I have Chris Collins to thank. He put coaching in my mind at that time earlier. I think he felt he had a good chance of getting the Northwestern job. He had mentioned he wanted me to come with him. And I really started to think about it, and I really had a dream of being a young head coach. And so I was ready to go with Chris. I called Coach K. Coach K called me an idiot for thinking about going anywhere other than Duke. Word for word, don't be an idiot, come back here. And it was the best decision I could have ever made. And Chris and I are still as close to this day as could be as well. But I felt in my heart it was the right thing at that time.
Second row, Coach.
Hey, Coach. Evan Miyakawa from evanmiya.com. You guys are obviously led by a bunch of talented freshmen, but I think people are starting to realize how good the roster construction around those guys has been, especially with some of the guys that you hit on through the portal. I know none of those guys were among the top 10 or 15 most heralded transfers last year. What was your approach to finding those guys who fit exactly what you were trying to build around your freshmen, and how has that worked out for you this year?
Well, it was an interesting use for us, starting with analytics of just understanding you're not just looking at a player just one versus one. We felt we had a great core to our team, specifically, a special guy in Cooper. And so for us, it was about plugging different guys into what would be the best fit with potential lineups that we could have, and then understanding there's going to be some fluidity in that. Once you get a team on campus, different guys are more ready, and things always change and evolve. But we really prioritize shooting. We prioritize defense and the versatility with the defense. And so Mason Gillis for us, 6th most efficient offensive player in the country the year before. Mason was a no-brainer for us. Malik was a no-brainer. And then really we were patient, with the last spot. And we knew we needed one more guard. And we looked at some other guys, all good players. And then Sion came up late. And it took me about 2 seconds to say, all right, like this guy, he's perfect for what we need. And that was really the last piece to going full out for this big, versatile, unselfish team. And it's hard to imagine our team without Sion. So that last get of him going in was huge for us. So it was the numbers behind it, but also just the vision that I had and our staff for surrounding our young guys with strength, with security, and then having great shooting on the floor.
Coach,
which
move
has
to the
led to
right
some
side.
great kill shots. All right, so we've had some great kill shots because of that.
On the right side, Associated Press.
Coach Jim Bertuno with the Associated Press. Bruce Pearl talked about this a little bit. 3 Jewish coaches leading teams into one of the highest profile college sports events. Does that carry any personal significance for you?
I'm proud of my Jewish background, and Bruce actually recruited me to play for the Maccabiah team when I was in college. Todd was on that same team, so I've had close relationship with those guys for some time. Really happy for them to see what they're doing, and yeah, of course you're proud. You're proud of a lot of things too. Proud of representing Duke and our team, but I also acknowledge it's a pretty rare thing to have 3 of us in the Final Four.
Second row, just to the left of the aisle.
Coach Robert O'Connell, Wall Street Journal, you've talked about, ad nauseum about carrying over the success that Kay built here. And you've also mentioned just how much, since you've had the job, the sport has changed in terms of recruiting, team building, all of those things. I guess, is there one element of sustaining the culture that you felt was absolutely integral when you first took this job? And is there one element that you had to build in a way differently than Kay built?
Yeah, I think there's 2 main priorities that I had. The first one was just the values of our program, and that's something that I've learned, under my time with Coach K. And again, you kind of evolve where you have a spinoff of a couple personal things you believe in, but our program has been built on communication and trust, and having hard conversations or direct conversations at a moment's notice. You do that. So that's something that I've really prided myself on with our time here. And then the second thing for me, I think I can relate it growing up. When you watch Duke play, Duke has made you feel a certain way. For the most part, I think it's made you feel good. I'm sure other people would say it hasn't made them feel good, but that comes with it. And so I think this group is really embodied. When you watch Duke basketball play, you love how hard they play. You love how together they play. And that's something for me that I've really wanted. Look, winning, of course, but then also the way it makes you feel. And that's something I think we've regained this season. And, of course, along the way, I've been on my own personal journey as a coach where I read and learn. And coaching guys now is different than, how I was coached. And so there's different tactics, different things we do. But it does boil down to the honest conversations you have, and then, of course, just keeping those values every day in our program.
Just in that same area of the room.
Coach, right here. 2 years after there were 4 number ones right here in San Antonio, you were on a team that played against a mid-major for a national championship. In the climate that we're in now, is it foreseeable beyond this year, in the next few years, to see a power conference school going against a non-power conference or non-Big East?
Yeah, I think we have to be careful, or at least in my opinion, just because we have 4 number ones this year to assume that that's just going to happen going forward. And, the margin is really thin. Like even the odds, if you go back, the odds of 4 number ones, if you do the whole tournament again, the odds of all 4 of us being here is rare. Just it is. It's hard to get here. And so I think for us, I think anything can be expected. I feel like my 3 years, each time you think something has been established in terms of, all right, now we're not going to change in terms of conference realignment or NIL, it continues to change. So I think there's still going to be opportunity for upsets, going to be opportunities for different seeds. I don't see this being the way it's going to be just all the time going forward. Can it happen again? Of course, sure. But I think it's too difficult to get out of your own region where it's just going to be top seeds all the time. So, again, we'll see. We'll see if I'm right or wrong, but that's just my opinion.
Center section, right of the aisle. Lindsay.
Hey, John, Lindsay Schnell from The Athletic. So Cooper's mom and other Duke moms have promised to get a tattoo commemorating a national championship if you win. I wondered what your thoughts are on that, and also, will your wife or your mom be participating?
I was expecting, will I participate? So that question is better than one. Is that true? So I love it. Look, I will say this. I'm not just saying this because the flags are here. We have parents here. Our parents have been incredible this year. And genuinely seeing I'm not watching during the games, but you see after a game and you hear just genuinely when parents are rooting for their own kids, for other kids like they're their own, it's had such an impact on our guys with how they cheer for each other and how they want each other's success. I think that's harder and harder to find now. So our parents, our moms especially, are just, they have a bond, and what's the motherhood now we have the fatherhood. My daughter asked me, we need daughterhood shirts. So it's been a cool thing to see our families come together this year. I'm making my wife get a tattoo with them if that's what's going to happen. So, and I would even consider getting one if we win a national championship. All right. I should have said that because this is going to come back to me now.
Just a reminder that transcripts and video are available of this news conference afterwards on the NCAA's website. Ted, check out your phone for me real quick, and we're going to take the next question down over here.
Matt Giles, Duke on SI. Coach, I think it's safe to say there's never been a freshman class more confident and more mature than this one. Does that set an unfair standard for future classes, or do you like that they've set this high of a bar?
I think that's the thing you try to do always, right, is try to set a new standard for what you can do. And now we've had some pretty special classes, some freshman classes, but I think this group, the way they've been so mature with really just being up for any challenge, the way they compete, the way they understand the game, they've been mature, and it's not just obviously Cooper is just up here, and Cooper deserves so much of the recognition. Come on, Con, for Pat and Isaiah to be, their minutes were up and down at times, to be ready to come in at any moment to make an impact on winning is incredible. Darren didn't have his number called, and then he comes in against Florida State. So I think their maturity of not getting too up or down is special. And for me as a coach it's been amazing to have guys that are always ready. As freshmen, that usually doesn't happen all the time.
We're going to transition now to the second 15-minute session. We're going to invite Cooper Flagg up to the dais one more time. We're going to invite Matt Norlander, who's representing the United States Basketball Writers Association. This is going to be the presentation of the Oscar